Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Your Honor, we stand here today in this solemn courtroom, where the scales of justice hang heavy with the weight of human lives shattered, dreams extinguished, and families forever broken. Look around you, members of the jury. Imagine the quiet hum of a small-town convenience store on a cold November night in Iowa, the fluorescent lights buzzing softly, a lone clerk going about her routine, unaware that evil is about to walk through the door wearing the face of a 17-year-old boy. This is not a tale from the shadows of fiction. This is the chilling reality of Michael Richard Swanson, a young man from St. Louis Park, Minnesota, who, in November 2010, set out not just to steal, but to destroy innocent lives in pursuit of some twisted notion of fame and fear. Consider the profound questions of justice and morality that bring us here. What drives a teenager to grin proudly in the face of unimaginable horror? How does a human being become so detached from empathy that the taking of life feels like a rush, a moment of power? Members of the jury, justice demands that we confront the darkness within our society, the failures, the overlooked warnings, the cravings for notoriety that fester in troubled minds. Morality whispers to us that every life has value, that the warmth of a mother and wife like Sheila Myers or the kindness of Vicky Bowman-Hall cannot be erased without consequence. Yet here we have a defendant who sought to etch his name in history through violence, believing himself untouchable, legendary even. But true legends are built on courage and compassion, not on the cold-blooded execution of defenseless women begging for their lives. Imagine the moral abyss, ladies and gentlemen. A boy fascinated by death from an early age, harboring fantasies that would chill the soul of any parent, any citizen. We will present the evidence, not to sensationalize, but to illuminate the truth. We will delve into the psychology of a mind that viewed murder as inconsequential, that laughed during interrogation, that smirked as sentences were handed down. This case forces us to grapple with human nature's capacity for evil, the thin line between sanity and depravity, and the law's unyielding duty to protect society from those who choose chaos over humanity. Justice is not vengeance. It is the safeguard of the innocent, the voice for the voiceless. Morality compels us to remember the victims, their smiles, their families, their unfulfilled tomorrows, while holding accountable the one who stole them away. Your Honor, members of the jury, as we lay out the exhibits of this tragic saga, ask yourselves, can a society tolerate those who kill for the thrill, who tie up loose ends by shooting compliant victims in the face? The evidence will show a pattern of calculated cruelty, a lack of remorse that defies comprehension. Let us proceed with the gravity this demands, for in this courtroom, we seek not just punishment, but understanding of why this happened, how it could have been prevented, and what it reveals about the fragility of the human spirit. The pursuit of justice is our sacred duty. Morality is its guiding light. Let the evidence speak. Now, members of the jury, let us turn to the evidence, presented as exhibits in this court of truth. Exhibit A, the defendant's own demeanor in this very courtroom. Picture it vividly. He sat there, at just 17 years old, grinning like he was proud of his actions, not scared, not sorry, just grinning with a smug satisfaction that sent chills through the gallery. Michael Swanson believed he was writing his name into history through violence. He wanted to be feared. He wanted to be legendary, like the gangsters he idolized from movies and stories. But look closer, ladies and gentlemen. That grin was not the mask of a confused boy. It was the revelation of a mind reveling in its own darkness. Deeper into the psychology, when the psychiatrist took the stand, the courtroom froze in collective horror. The expert revealed what was truly brewing inside this young man's mind. Swanson confessed his long-standing fascination. "I have always been fascinated by death and violence. And it was something that I wanted to do. Murder, rape, and cannibalism." Imagine the silence that fell. Members of the jury, the air thick with disbelief at how profoundly evil this teenager had become. This was no impulsive act. It was the culmination of dark fantasies nurtured over years. The psychiatrist explained that Swanson took great pride in his deeds, struggling even to comprehend why society was so outraged. In his distorted view, people die eventually. What difference does age make? Whether at 77 or by his hand, it was just not a big deal. He was happy in his notoriety, receiving the attention he craved. To him, this was a dream come true. Let us paint the background, members of the jury, to understand the emotional depth of this tragedy. Michael Swanson grew up in St. Louis Park, Minnesota, in a family that tried desperately to seek help for his troubling behaviors from early childhood. Reports and testimonies reveal a boy who never slept much, always moving, exhibiting signs that alarmed those around him. By age 11, a psychiatrist reportedly warned his mother that he needed to be locked up, that there was nothing more to be done. Yet the system released him time and again. Weeks before the crimes, another evaluation flagged him as a risk for violent acts without medication, yet he walked free. The parents lived in fear, the mother sobbing in court as she recounted 18 years of near misses, of a son who terrorized the household. But no intervention stuck. Imagine the emotional torment, the love mixed with dread, the pleas for help ignored. This background does not excuse, but it illuminates the psychological descent into a void where empathy evaporated. Now, the events of November 2010 presented in meticulous detail as the prosecution's timeline. Swanson, age 17, left his Minnesota home, stealing his mother's car, a Jeep, and crossing into Iowa with a sinister purpose. He packed a duffel bag containing stolen cash, a ski mask, and a .40 caliber pistol taken from his family's cabin in northern Minnesota. His plan: rob stores and make headlines through fear. But it escalated into something far more heinous. In a matter of hours, he entered 2 convenience stores in 2 towns, first in Algona, then Humboldt, Iowa. The victims, Vicki Bowmanhall, 47 years old, known throughout her community for her warmth and kindness, working alone that night, and Sheila Myers, 61 years old, a beloved wife, mother, and grandmother, also alone on shift. Both women complied fully with his demands, handing over money and items without resistance. Both begged desperately for their lives, their voices trembling with terror. Yet Swanson shot them anyway, in what prosecutors rightly described as completely senseless, cold-blooded acts of execution. Visualize the scenes, members of the jury, the dim lights of the stores, the masked figure bursting in, gun drawn. In Algona, at the Crossroads convenience store, referred to in testimony as Come and Go, Vicki Bowmanhall faced the barrel, pleaded, complied, and was shot fatally. Less than an hour later, in Humboldt at the Come and Go, Sheila Myers endured the same nightmare: compliance, begging, and then the fatal shot to the face, described by Swanson himself as seeming final. The discovery of these crimes sent shockwaves. Emergency calls captured the horror, responders arriving to scenes with blood everywhere, confirming no signs of life. One victim pronounced dead at the scene, the other at a nearby hospital. The emotional devastation, families shattered, communities grieving, two pillars of kindness taken for no reason beyond a teenager's craving for power. Swanson made little effort to conceal his trail. In fact, the very next day, he was spotted at a McDonald's in Webster City by a high school acquaintance who recognized him despite the circumstances. Police were alerted swiftly. Swanson was located, arrested without any resistance, and taken in for questioning. Here, members of the jury, the chilling core of his psychology emerges in the interrogation evidence. Presented as Exhibit B, the video recording where Swanson did not display nervousness or confusion. He laughed, a smug, proud laugh that echoed disturbingly in the room. He recounted the events with zero remorse, even bragging casually. Officers probed gently at first, establishing the weapon's origin from the family cabin. He described heading south, ending up in unknown towns. In his own words, retold through testimony, he entered the first store with mask and coat, gun and bag, drew it, pointed at the clerk, placed the bag on the counter, demanded money. She complied, though he couldn't recall exact words. Then he shot her and simply walked out. When asked if he planned to shoot, he admitted yes, from the car, even before entering. His rationale: tying up loose ends so she couldn't identify him or call police. Shooting her ensured silence. The officer asked how it felt pulling the trigger. Swanson replied he felt powerful, an adrenaline rush. Good. No care, no effect on him emotionally. Even now, reflecting, it hadn't changed. Sometimes people get shot. He shrugged. He specified shooting in the face because it seemed final, more likely fatal. Why kill rather than injure? He claimed initial intent to injure, but questioned why shoot at all, revealing the detachment. Officers sat stunned as this calm, amused teenager detailed the horrors emotionlessly. This was no breakdown, it was pride. At trial, the psychiatrist's testimony deepened the psychological portrait. Swanson planned acts of this magnitude, including killing, for years. His perspective: death is inevitable, so accelerating it matters little. He couldn't grasp the uproar, happy with the attention, feeling like a clan leader or icon. The attention from trial and media? A dream fulfilled. The defense argued insanity, suggesting lack of capacity. But the judge rejected it bluntly. Swanson knew precisely what he was doing. Dangerous, unpredictable, no place in open society. Prison for life, the only option. As sentencing approached, the victims' families confronted him emotionally. Vicky Bowmanhall's husband recalled the grin. He sat there grinning like it was a joke, like her life didn't matter. That laugh, that grin, I'll never forget it. Sheila Meyer's daughter, calling her mother her best friend, tearfully addressed him. How could he do this to an innocent, defenseless woman? For cigarettes, money, to eliminate identification, but truly for power, as he admitted. Seeing him smile amid family suffering felt like another attack. Swanson offered no apology, ever. No mystery in evidence. Confession, security footage, weapon recovered, witnesses. Sentenced as adult, 2 consecutive life terms without parole in 2011, plus robberies. Even as verdict read, guilty of first-degree murder. He laughed again, as if lives were a game. Escorted out, one final grin. But the story doesn't end there, members of the jury. Behind bars, Swanson remained disruptive. Iowa Department of Corrections records document altercations, defiance, instigating chaos for amusement, thriving on control and reaction. One incident escalated gravely. Swanson and another inmate ambushed a fellow prisoner in a premeditated slashing to the neck. Severe injuries. Emergency care needed, though the victim survived. Not driven by survival or retaliation, but that same craving for dominance, chasing the tough guy image. Tried and guilty of attempted murder, adding 25 years, erasing any parole hope. Psychological evaluations confirmed no genuine remorse. Old wounds reopened for families. Now, serving life plus 25, Swanson lingers not as legend, but reminder of dangers when violence is chosen for importance. Members of the jury, as we conclude this presentation of evidence, let us reflect philosophically on human nature and the law. What does this case reveal about the soul's capacity for darkness? Swanson's grin, his laughter, they are echoes of a profound detachment, a rejection of shared humanity. Human nature is dual, capable of profound kindness, as in Vicky and Sheila, or profound cruelty when empathy is absent. The law stands as bulwark, declaring that no craving for power justifies execution-style murder. No fantasy of legend excuses senseless violence. Philosophy teaches us that evil often wears an ordinary face, a teenage one even, grinning proudly. Yet justice demands accountability, not for revenge, but to affirm life's sanctity. Morality urges remembrance, the victim's warmth, the family's endless grief, the society's need for protection. In the end, Swanson's name is remembered, not as feared icon, but cautionary tale. A reminder that when warnings are ignored, when darkness is fed, tragedy follows. But the law prevailed. Life behind bars extended further, ensuring no more harm. Ladies and gentlemen, human nature is fragile, law eternal. Let this verdict stand as testament to justice's triumph over chaos. The courtroom falls silent once more, members of the jury. The evidence is clear, the truth undeniable. Justice has been served, but the questions linger in our hearts forever.